Hi, thanks for joining MTurk Guide. Today we're going to be talking about MTurk and Turkopticon. So what is Turkopticon? Turkopticon is a platform to grade and review requesters on MTurk. So there's numerous ways to access the information stored in Turkopticon, and scripts, as with many things, make the information readily available for quick analysis. The data that's collected in Turkopticon is actually available at different levels. So there's summary data available, which pulls through MTurk. There's ratings in numbers, as well as colors, if that's your thing, as well as open-ended text, which is in the Turkopticon tool itself. However, like with anything, there are some nuances to this tool that I do want to discuss in this webcast that I think is important for you to know. But the bottom line about Turkopticon is that this is a must. Capital M, capital U, capital S, capital T, must, if you're going to be serious about keeping your approval level high, especially in the beginning. I'm going to assume that a lot of people that are listening to this webcast are either beginners or you've had the account for a while and you've been poking around in there and you're starting to get serious about it. The thing that's so very important, and I mention it in many webcasts, but it's worth repeating, bear with me, don't get a lot of rejections at the beginning because it's very hard to bounce back from that. If you have only 100 hits and you have 5 rejections, you have a 95% approval rating. In the world of MTurk, that's actually not that good. Many requesters put the line at 99% or above to do their hits. So what you'll find is in the beginning, it's very, some of the hits are limited to people with over 500 hits or over 1,000 hits. So, you got to scrape your way to the top. And if you're further limited by your approval rating, it's going to hurt. It's going to take you longer to get to 500, to 1,000, to 5,000, where you're going to see more valuable, quick, interesting hits available to you. So, if you're going to be serious about this, you really need to be looking on Turkopticon, and you need to balance being aggressive about building up your numbers to give you that cushion with taking appropriate risks around requesters. And we're going to talk a little about that as we go on. So to start with installing Turkopticon, so you're going to want to go to the link that I've got here, and all these links will be in the description for you to click on. You're going to want to set up your account there. It's as simple as email address, password, your typical stuff. I've talked in other webcasts. If you're not comfortable giving out your email address, set up one for MTurk alone. Go to Gmail or whatever. Grab an email and use it for everything related to MTurk if that's what you want to do. In other webcasts, I've discussed how to go about installing Tamper Monkey or Grease Monkey for your particular browser. But in case you're not familiar with that, I would say go back to my webcast after this and look at that more extensive discussion of it. But here are some links in case you're familiar with Tamper Monkey and Grease Monkey and you just need a pointer. They're here. So go ahead and install the script that's linked in Greasy Fork here into your Tamper Monkey. And then just ensure that your scripts are installed and turned on. Refresh your MTurk page to start using that functionality. And again, all the links I've got here are down at the bottom for you to click. So now, going back to what I said about the Turkopticon site, you're going to want to navigate over to Turkopticon, and we're going to just go to the search field and look for a requester. So if you have a requester that you like, you've been working for, or you've been poking around seeing a lot of, or you see they have a lot of hits, go ahead and throw them into the search function. I just use research tasks as it was just right in front of me when I was putting this together. So you go ahead, you put it, you hit search, works like any other search field, and then you're going to come back with basically every single requester that has the words research and tasks in their name, which is going to be a lot because, this is research and tasks essentially. So you're going to get a lot. So what you want to do is you want to find the one you're looking for, and they are in alphabetical order. and you're going to want to click on the name. So in this case, we would click on research tasks. Okay. And then you're going to have all of their information all down in a row like this. And what you're looking at here is, I'm going to use my cursor here. Research tasks is the name. Underneath is their requester ID, which is important as you get further along in using some of the tools for auto accept. But for now, just know where you can locate it. So averages, hit group. I mean, you can click around on some of this. I'm not going to go into huge detail about some of these other links, but the important link here is your review requester link, and that allows you to essentially review the requester. And then you're going to be asked to rate, or either if you're doing a review, you're going to be asked to rate on these 4 criteria. If you're reviewing it, be aware of what the 4 criteria are. It's fair, so that's related to rejections. If you're giving a low rating on fair, you have had to have had rejections. It's for something that's a gradient of 1 through 5, it's actually pretty black and white. Were you rejected or weren't you rejected? And then was it deserved or was it not deserved? Fast is related to the speed of approvals. So was it approved in a day or was it approved in 30 days? Did it go to auto approval, meaning it sat for 30 days and Amazon assumed it was okay and automatically approved it for the requester at that 30-day mark? That's the case. Fast is a 1, which is the lowest you can get. Pay is related to the pay for the hit. So that tends to be a matter of opinion. Different people have different standards. So again, you're going to see that reflected in the data. And then communication is related to contact with the requester. If you did not contact the requester, you should not review that criteria. Then you should understand that when people are reviewing that criteria, they have in fact emailed the requester and either got nothing back, which would be a 1, or they got very quick, very succinct, very thorough communication back, which would be a 5. So you'll also see either a green banner underneath, which right here, or a red banner. Green is for good, meaning hits were approved. Red is for rejected. Hits were not approved for the person that's obviously reviewing it. And you'll see some with it, some without it. And that's because it was recently added. So just know as time goes on, a lot of them will have it, but you're going to come across some that don't. So then you get into the description side, and description is free text. There are civility guidelines that do exist. Follow them because otherwise your reviews will be hidden, and that doesn't help anybody. Requesters can and do reply on this forum, and essentially they can reply or they can just put a review with no criteria rated, and they can say whatever they'd like to say within the civility guidelines because it also applies to them. Commenting ability, which is the reply to type thing like you would see on Facebook or other places, that's by request. So you do need to request that functionality, and the moderators do have to approve it. So if that's something you think you're going to want to do, you're going to want to go ahead and request that commenting ability. But either way, you'll see the hit name. So because what happens is when you're looking at something by requester, it's going to have all the different hits that they've put together over time. So you're going to want to know, what's their track record with this particular hit. Of course, looking at them as a whole as a requester is important, but sometimes if a requester, came in early, didn't know what they were doing, made a few missteps, and they're trying to get better, I tend to look at the whole picture and then try to look at the hits that I'm trying to execute for them and see, are they approving them? Are they rejecting them? And sometimes you can get really good information from Turkopticon. Again, you want to balance speed and all of that with being informed. But sometimes somebody will say, I got rejected because I missed a very picky attention check. Okay, well, now you're going to need to really be looking closely for attention checks. Or, there's any number of things. So again, it is valuable information. There are, when I said in the beginning, there's some nuances to it. There's some bickering that goes on Turkopticon, frankly, between moderators and some of the longtime posters. Really, it's white noise. Just block it out and move on. But there's nuances there. You've got to take the data and you need to additionally process it yourself and try to figure out what's good data, what's bad data, or what is a person having a bad day, and essentially what is this person trustworthy in their review. And I'll give you an example. If somebody comes in and says, oh, I did 1,000 of these hits in an hour, and the rejector rejected them all, and he is a big jerk and I hate him, aside from it being hidden, if you go back and you look at the hit and you say to yourself, geez, this hit should take 30 seconds to 45 seconds, 4 or 5 clicks. There's no way, this person did 1,000 legitimately in an hour. And so this person, could be potentially trying to, run a scam on the requester. So, and that does happen. It's like anything. So there are some unscrupulous folks out there. And, requesters have the option to block those folks. So, but, sometimes they don't see the wrong in what they're doing and they go ahead and post something. But usually you'll see the evidence usually. So that's within Turkopticon, the tool itself. And again, I discussed the hidden reviews. So if you scroll down to the bottom of your requester page, you'll see if there are any hidden reviews. And in this case, there was one, and for Nathan, which is one I picked up just because I knew there was a hidden review that I wanted to show. And here on this side, you see, went through and kind of, one-bombed everything and then went ahead and called him a scumbag, which is a no-no. So I put an X on it to remind you what not to do. And then you'll see it was flagged by a moderator that said it insulted the requester in this case. And then another mod came around and agreed with the flagger. And since this review was flagged and not updated to remove the insult, it sat there since January, and we're now in September. So again, I don't know the source of why this person had 69 rejections or why this particular requester didn't get back to this person. I personally have done work for this requester because he does pretty interesting, fun hits, and he bonuses for them based on answer overlap between workers. And I've never had an issue, but you never know. I mean, there is data here that we're missing, so we don't know for sure. But the majority of the reviews are positive. So again, you're looking for trends, you're looking for patterns. You're not necessarily going to focus in on the one-off review that's there. So, okay. So that's when you want to dig a little. And in the beginning, granted, you're going to be digging. You're going to want to dig. But as you go further along, you're going to be trying to move a little quicker, and you're going to want to try to access the information from MTurk. And so when you're installing the scripts, what you're giving yourself is these little drop-down arrows next to the requester name. I have it duplicated because I was running 2 scripts that essentially did the same thing. They were kind of bundled. So ignore that there's 2. Assume in your view there'll be 1. You go ahead and you just hover over it, and you're going to get your summary version. And you're going to see how many reviews, terms of service violation flags. I have another webcast on term of service violations, but I'll give you quick examples. If they require personal information for you to finish the hit, such as a full name, a phone number, home address, any of that type of stuff, anything that could identify you. That's a terms of service violation. I'm asking you to vote for things, also term of service violation. Trying to drive you to certain websites, again, terms of service violation. And I talk more in depth about why those things are the way they are. But So you've got all this. If you click on the number of reviews, it will take you over to Turkopticon. So you can transition between the two pretty seamlessly if you want to go check out what's going on, why something might be read. Or so again, what I do want to point out very I want to highlight this. The summary box that's here is actually slightly different than Turkopticon itself. So the terms are pretty much the same. They're worded a little bit differently. So here, communicativity is calm in TO, so that's okay. Generosity and pay, obviously they match. Fairness and fair, yes, and promptness and fast. Again, when your brain will assimilate all that information, but in the beginning, you want to make sure you're matching up the right field to the right field. So it's a picky uni, as I say, picky uni thing, but it's there. They don't match up exactly. So you want to use your summary data carefully by looking at all the data points that are available to you. If you see green, you're pretty much good to go. But requesters have gone from good to bad and bad to good. So you always want to be clicking around and checking out. I don't encourage it to slow you down. But just because this box says all green, it doesn't mean the requester hasn't been on a rejection spree and the numbers haven't caught up to him or something like that. So again, those nuances are there. You kind of learn when you're looking at the number of reviews versus the categories, how to sort of get your comfort level. And I can't dictate that for you because it really depends on how many hits you have, what your approval rating is, what can you take for risks. That's something you need to decide. So moving forward, you can also get this information in Hit Scraper, which also I have another webcast on. So when you pull up Hit Scraper, here's an example of it, and the color codes will help you. And the TO pay score, which is right here, will also help you. Looking closely at the gray lines, because gray lines just means there's not enough data yet. So they might have like a 5 on pay, but nothing else is there. You want to look at those because there's some opportunity there, and not everybody necessarily is comfortable with the gray ones yet. So look at them. You don't have to do them, but look at them. If you click on the TO pay number, that brings you over to the website, to Turkopticon. Red should generally be avoided, but if you're slow or you're just doing your research, click on them once in a while. It will help you understand why people are red. And you will run into a requester bad trying to go good, who is being very, very flexible. And, that's somebody that you might want to work for because they're hesitant to reject because of the reputation they have on TO. Because as people are, smart enough to know that this stuff exists, then requesters' work doesn't get done as fast. So there are reasons that requesters will want to have a good reputation. And it's one other thing. If you do find yourself in a situation where you're discussing a rejection with a requester, make sure you mention Turkopticon. Make sure they know about it. It's vital that they understand that they're forming a reputation around MTurk, and that a good reputation means their work gets done fast as long as it's fairly paid. So, okay. Contribute to TO for very good and very bad experiences at a minimum. That's my yardstick. I see people on there that literally review for everything, and that's great too. But if you're limited on time, if you have a very good experience and you're very impressed, throw them a review. If you have a very bad experience and you're very unhappy, throw them a review. That's what I ask at a minimum, because if everybody contributes, then we have, information that is current and it is reflective of the current situation for various requesters. And always look for those hidden reviews, because those aren't going to be at the forefront, and you're going to want to know that information, even if the person, the reviewer, threw a bad word in there or something. You're still going to want to know the general idea of why they were upset, even if they were a bit emotional about it. Okay, so let's see. Look for hidden reviews, right? Yes. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. All right, so Where are we here? I apologize. Okay. So, oh, I'm running slideshow by accident. Isn't that funny? Okay. So, where are we here? Hidden reviews, accessing data in Scraper. Okay. So actually that was the last one. I apologize. So, I've highlighted where various things are. Sorry, I'm gonna go back here. When you hover over TO Pay, it brings up the summary box. So again, you have a lot of opportunities to sort of take in this data and figure out what you want to do with it. You look at the data and you say to yourself, am I comfortable with what am I seeing? Or no, I'm not comfortable, and I'm gonna go digging around in Turkopticon and see what the deal is with this requester. So, again, I just want to make sure that everybody feels like they have at least the basics on how to get information, especially in the beginning, so that they can protect their approval rating. Because there are requesters out there that are looking for free work. No, I'm not going to mince words about that. And those folks have been appropriately one-bombed, and they are bright red, and they have zero hope of getting better, because they are patterned. They continually to reject work, and so I want people to be able to avoid those type of requesters, and to not put themselves in a hole before they get going. And so that's really the purpose of making sure that everybody understands what's available to them in terms of Turkopticon. So as always, please let me know if you have any questions. If you would like a webcast on something else, please please comment, please subscribe. I'm going to be continuing to put up webcasts on the topics that you tell me you need. So as always, thanks for joining, and have fun turking.